Hey everybody, hello YouTube. It is Saturday morning at 2 a.m. I woke up at like 9:30 p.m. on Friday, and I really want to make a live stream. Let me check it because my program where I don't do the live stream and I just screen share and use my webcam is not opening. So I want to make sure that y'all can hear sound and everything. So I'm going to check that out real quick. While I do that, I'm going to play this song. This song is awesome, and I heard it on the radio, and I got goosebumps. And hello, anybody coming in the chat room. Hello, I know it's late. It's like 2 a.m., but I was thinking, probably more people would need a live stream at like 2 in the morning with targeted individuals because we get sleep deprivation and we're being tortured so bad. Sometimes it's very hard to go to sleep. But this song, like I got into the car the other night and it was a night where I wasn't, I wasn't videotaping vehicular stalking. I was just going to the store real quick. And I got goosebumps when I heard it. And I used to get goosebumps all the time when I'd hear a song that I liked or a movie that was awesome or just somebody that I really liked. I'd think about them and get goosebumps. And because my nervous system is so fried from the remote neural manipulation and external hits with microwaves, I don't get goosebumps too often. So with this song, I just got huge goosebumps. So I'm going to play that song while I check that there's sound. I'm going to check the chat room, and you guys can tell me if y'all can hear me. I think you should be able to. Yeah, because I'm getting that little volume thing on the side. I think you should be able to, but I just want to make sure, and I need to open that window anyway. But I'm going to go ahead and play this song that just pumped me up. And hopefully if I don't share my screen, they won't like hide my video for showing this song. But it's Matthew West, Mended. So I hope you guys can hear this, but I'm going to play this while I kind of get things set up a little bit.
When you see broken beyond repair, I see healing beyond belief. When you see too far gone, I see one step away from home. How many times can one heart break? It was never supposed to be this way. Look in the mirror, but you find someone you never thought you'd meet. Oh, but I can still recognize the one I love in your tear-stained eyes. I know you might not see it now, so lift your eyes to me. When you see broken beyond repair, I see healing beyond belief. When you see too far gone, I see one step away from home. You see nothing but damaged goods. I see something good in the making. I'm not finished yet. When you see wounded, I see mended. You see your worst mistake, but I see the price I paid. And there's nothing you could ever do to lose what grace is won. So hold on, it's not the end. No, this is where love's work begins. I'm making all things new, and I will make a miracle of you. When you see broken beyond repair, I see healing beyond belief. When you see too far gone, I see one step away from home. You see nothing but damaged goods. I see something good in the making. I'm not finished yet. Oh, when you see wounded, I see mended. I see my child, my love, the new creation you're becoming. You see the scars from when you fell, but I see the stories they will tell. You see the worthless, I see the priceless.
I was telling somebody in chat like before, he's like, it's because it's God talking to us. and he says, "I'm not finished yet." I love that part. That's where I got the most goosebumps.
When you see broken beyond repair, I see healing beyond belief. You're not too far gone. You're one step away from home. When you see nothing but damage.
I think this is a good song for us because everything feels like it's falling apart. And like we're so far away from anything that how we wanted our lives to be. That I'll talk after the song. Y'all like that? I love that. It just gave me goosebumps because I was in that, I was in this situation where I'm just like everything's torn up, and I feel like I'm so far away from what I really want in my life. I mean, I am helping people, with these videos and helping other targeted individuals who need hope. So I think we're the people who need the most help in the world. So that's really what I've wanted to do, help people in my life. So it's kind of ironic, but that part where he says, "I'm not," because it's talking as if he's God, that the lyrics are like, God talking to us when we see wounded, he sees mended, and that we're we see so far away, but he sees so close to home. And that's how things happen. It's like you go through these things where you feel like you're just so far away from anything good or what you wanted in your life when you're really close. I mean, because things can turn around and all those bad things can be used to make your life better, to make you help people more, to put you in the place where you were always supposed to be. I just love that. When he's like, "I'm not finished yet," because it's like, he's not finished with us. We're in a bad situation. I think anytime that a Christian or just anybody with a lot of spirituality is in a bad place, you're not at the end. You're not at the destination. You're definitely not. When things are good, and it may even just be, when we get to heaven, it may be the afterlife where everything balances out and we finally understand. And then, God's done his work. Now, I think it's going to happen on this earth, within our lives. I think we've got a lot of hope and miracles coming, even with this, but you know what I mean. And hey, everybody in the chat room, thanks for coming. I know it's late, but I just wanted to make a live stream. I have a lot of information on deck, so I wanted to get some of it out. I'm feeling relatively okay. I slept a long time. I got some weird directed dreams, and like right when I woke up, like it felt like my mind could not think, that it was just blacked out. Like it really feels like it's just being overwhelmed with artificial signals, with artificial frequencies. And so my mind is just kind of filled up with those. I had these weird directed dreams. I had weird directed dreams like I was in a video game. And I guess that would be kind of, that would go along with me playing video games. And like we had to shoot aliens or something like that. And then some of the aliens, they looked exactly like us in kind of halo suits and stuff. I've been having some really, really weird dreams, and they really seem directed. It seems like some of it comes from me, and then my attackers will manipulate it. But then I woke up tonight, and my really good friend, the first TI that I ever talked to, the first other TI that I ever talked to, he lives in Canada. It's my friend Ken, and he's talking about, he's got like this awesome evidence. He has an image of an MRI image, and he is 100% sure that he has a stemoceiver that was put in when he was a lot younger. And he has this MRI image where it just shows like this lit up like ball with something like hooked to it, like right on the MRI. So we were talking about, he was telling me what he's going to try and do with that. He's going to try, and he's got some plans to get some doctors to help him to maybe get it out, or to actually, well, I guess I don't want to say everything that he wants to do, but he's going to put out, we were talking about him putting out some of that information on his own channel. I really want him to do YouTube videos because he's very smart. He knows a lot about common law, and he just knows a lot about the corruption that's going on in society. And he's also a very, very, very faithful Christian, a very strong man. He tells the truth all the time, and that's why I love this guy, because he just tells the truth. He doesn't have any kind of manipulation or deception or anything. Truth is the most important thing to him, and that's why I love him so much. But hopefully he'll put out some videos about that. But that was a cool conversation because I don't get to talk to him a lot. So that kind of pumped me up, and I want to get some of this information out. I'm trying to think if there was anything that like came out that I need to talk about that came out recently, but I can't really think of anything. Let me share my screen real quick, guys. I don't know if a lot of people are going to come to this live stream because it is late. I would have thought more targeted individuals would come at 2 in the morning than in the afternoon. But I really appreciate you guys being here, and I got some good information for y'all. So let me go ahead and share my screen. And I guess whenever you can do anything, you're feeling okay relatively, with this stuff. And that is where my chat room. Okay. Before I get to this, I wanted to let y'all know this joint conference on T&E support to prototyping and experimentation, it ended on the 17th. So it ended 2 days ago, and it was in Albuquerque, New Mexico. I'm going to try and get some highlights from these presentations, though I don't know where I would get them. But I just kind of wanted to give an update that this did happen. This conference about directed energy weapons and probably neuroweapons from the 15th to the 17th is wrapped up. And I really wish that I could get the 2 speakers. I think there's like 2 of them. Let's see. It's this one. Wait. Okay. Dr. Kelly Hammett, Directed Energy Director at Air Force Research Laboratory. That's one that I would really, really like to get and pick apart and see exactly what she says. And then what's another one? Yeah, this Dr. Michael Jurgis, Chief Directed Energy Experimentation, Air Force Strategic Development Planning and Experimentation Office. So they actually have a planning and experimentation office. And I'd like to hear what he says about this stuff, because he's going to say stuff that really, really points to them actually doing this, because they are actually torturing and experimenting on Americans. So it's like whatever information that we get and truth that we get out it's going to get better and better because this is actually happening. And I was thinking about that the other day. Like there's this guy, Tom Green, who comes to a lot of YouTube channels. And he came to my channel on the video that I put out with the vehicular stalking when I was driving into my condo, and there was a guy like right there with one light off, one light on. The guy got out of his car and like walked around his car. Then this other car, and these guys don't even live at my condo, like came and told him something. So they both got back in their cars and left. And I would say that's 100% proof of gang stalking. But Tom Green left a comment on it, saying, what was he saying? He said, that's nothing. That's just, you're schizophrenic or whatever. And I noticed that, all the real trolls, like people who didn't know about this stuff and maybe were saying that we were mentally ill, they're all gone. Like all those people, they kind of saw that it was really happening and they said, okay, well, this stuff's really happening, so I'm not going to troll it anymore. But this guy he stayed in, and it really makes me think that, and I guess I want to show this. I don't want to just say it, because he can come on this video, and I'm sure he will comment on this video, but he can come on and say, look, see how paranoid you are? But there's actually community-placed agents within gang stalking, and I'm going to pull this up. It's off of Dr. Carlstrom's website. Gang stalking, mindcontrolcults.com. I'm just going to put in the whole thing. Gang stalking mind. control cult. I hope I can find it because he has such an extensive website with so much information. Sometimes it's hard to find exactly what I want it to find on it. Where would it be? It'd be in new TI statements, the controllers, uncategorized. Gang, I think it'd be under gang stalking. And there's a gang stalking manual that Dr. Ronnie Kilda got, and she was the chief medical officer in oh gosh, oh god, I can't remember where it was, but she's huge. I mean, she was targeted, and she actually had access to a lot of this information. Ooh, and this is something by Dr. James G. Adorno. I might have to come in here and read some of this. I don't know if I'll be able to find. He has so much information, but there's actually a gang stalking manual where it talks about community-placed agents who are hired, and ones with an aptitude for social media, or leaving comments on radio shows or whatever. They actually have community-placed agents that they use to discredit us within media. And I'll find that for next time. But it's like, I see he's the only person like leaving negative comments on targeted individuals' videos. And he doesn't just leave negative comments on my videos. He leaves comments on every targeted individual video he sees. And he doesn't ever look at any of the information. So it really makes me think, that he is one of these actual community-placed agents. But I just wanted to kind of mention that, and that little, it's a little shout out to you, Tom Green. So I guess keep on doing what you're doing until they stop paying you. They'll probably stop paying you pretty soon. And hey, if you want to call me schizophrenic for thinking you're a community-placed agent, go ahead and do that. I just think that all the real trolls are kind of gone. They've seen that this is really happening. And this guy continues, and he doesn't look at any of the information that's so rock solid. I mean, we're putting out so much concrete information. So many people are talking about it. It can't be denied. The Cuban embassy attack, the China consulate, people who are being honest with themselves and are honest, truthful people who can research just a little bit. They know that this stuff is true. They know that this stuff is true. So just a shout out to you, Tom, and leave your little comment on my video if you want, because I don't really care. Okay, guys. So this is a documentary by Aaron and Melissa Dykes, called "The Minds of Men." And actually, my friend Ken told me about this. I have not watched it. It's like 3 minutes and like 3 hours and 50 minutes. But he said that it was just awesome. It's an awesome documentary, and it goes through the history of mind control projects and some of the things that are going on, in society today. It's got a ton of views. So I just wanted to show you all that and recommend this. I'm going to be watching it too, and maybe getting some of the more detailed stuff out of it to put up on some of my videos. And it's interesting because Aaron and Melissa Dykes, they used to work for Alex Jones, but they actually ended up, leaving. And after they left, they had these weird incidents of gaslighting, and they thought they had been drugged, and things that really sound like targeting after they left the Alex Jones show. So this may be why they're going into mind control and things like that, because they are targeted. So we need to check that out. I'll be watching that, but I'll have some more detailed stuff from that. Okay, so now I'll get started on the information. A lot of you guys probably know this person. This is Bella, and she has a YouTube channel. She's a targeted individual, and I really feel for her. She's a very beautiful young woman, and she's very smart, and she also has Audible V2K. So, I have a place in my heart for any targeted individual that has the Audible V2K, because it's just so horrible. Like everything else is horrible about this too. But the V2K is very vicious, and I guess all of it's vicious. But I wanted to play the first little bit of this, maybe the first 10 minutes, because she's compiled a lot of very, very important information about nanotechnology and nanoparticulates that is basically in probably every American citizen. And this is one of the main delivery mechanisms that they use for directed energy weapons and neuroweapons. Now they still do implants, like the rice-sized grains of implants. It is an obsolete technology, but they still do that, and they still have people that are still working on that because they can, I think, send stronger signals through those implants. But let me go ahead and play this first 10 minutes. She actually has some experts, talking about the nanotechnology that we're all breathing in, eating, it's in our water and everything like that. And it can, and basically everybody has this in their system, at least in America. I think in other countries too, they're doing the same thing, putting nanotechnology and things like that migrate to certain areas of our bodies. And then if they want to target somebody, they can target them, even if they have not been implanted by rice-sized grains of rice. But let's watch the first 10 minutes, guys.
Hey everybody, so it's been a while. I'm not going to go into why I've been away or what I've been doing or anything like that. I wanted to focus really on the topic of targeting and the answers as to what's going on and how they're able to target us. There's been a long time that I haven't actually looked into the topic. And then I came across a video that YouTube suggested to me. It gave me all the answers that I needed. And so I thought I'd just come back to tell you about the videos I've seen that help to answer how we're targeted, how they track us, how it's all been done. And so I'm going to try and keep this quick and brief, but I'm going to put in clips of the videos. But I suggest that you go and watch these documentaries all individually. I'm going to list them in the link in the description box below. So go and watch those, the longer versions, because there's a lot more information in there that I haven't divulged to you today. But I want to get into how they target us and how targeting is achieved. So what they do is they put nanotechnology in our food, and we ingest that, and it goes into our bodies and into our bloodstreams and goes into our organs, and it fills our whole bodies. And from there, they're able to monitor us and monitor our bodies. And nanotechnology has been put into our food since 1970s, apparently. So what they do, they put the nanotechnology in our food, and then we consume the nanotechnology.
Nanotechnology is a term that gets bandied around a fair bit. The promise of longer-lasting bread, super low-salt soy sauce, even Kraft Foods' interest in a smart blob that can be made to taste like anything using nanotechnology have all been part of the highly speculative future of nanofoods. But what about here and now? How many of these foods already have nanoparticles in them? And what do we know about the harm they might cause? Well, the answer to both questions is we don't actually.
Without any doubt at all, there are nanomaterials in food contact materials, and in agriculture already available in Australia. Foods to which children are exposed, such as Mentos, donuts, M&Ms, and Cadbury's chocolate, we have no idea what is on the market here, and we have no idea what their impacts are, and it is our regulators that are responsible for tracking that and regulating that, and they're just not doing it.
And you can see in this graph here that the nanoparticular matter was first started to work on in 1959, all the way through 2010. Moore's law says that computer technology will double every year, and that's been proven year after year, and this is also applicable to nanotechnology. Despite being the first referred to nearly 40 years ago, the word of nanotechnology, particularly in relation to food, is still a long way from being part of mainstream discussion. But it's so important to get this out right now.
Now, how they track people is they get nanodust, which they cover using the planes. They use nanodust to cover all areas. They cover, like, as far as I'm aware, like not just in this country, but all over the world, they've been using planes to drop nanodust particles everywhere. So nanodust now covers everything around us, and so they use that to track us. I'll show you a little clip which explains as to how they can do this, how they can track our movements, and they know it's us because of the nano crystals that we have inside our bodies that are also like GPS trackers, and they track us everywhere we go.
And I just want to stop it right there. Okay, yeah, okay, they're just about to talk about it. It's a Mu chip. Okay, so she's going to talk about this, but these are like chips that are the size, they're smaller than dust particles, and they're actually fully functioning chips that we can inhale or ingest, and they can, you know, then they can send signals to these chips. It makes us a dirty circuit board, you know, or these chips can migrate to certain parts of our body. So even these little, you know, microchips are now so small, this small as nanotechnology, you know.
Chip, and that's a salt crystal. So this is a small thing. It's something called the Mu chip from Hitachi. It's the smallest commercially available RFID system in the world, and can be pulse powered by radio waves. It doesn't require a battery. You can literally scatter this stuff like dust or embed it into a sheet of paper. And you know what the really interesting thing about this technology is? This was commercially released 10 years ago. So the inevitability of smart dust. So what is smart dust? Well, smart dust, of course, isn't a new concept. It originated with DARPA back in the 90s. And it's general purpose computing, sensors, wireless networking, all bundled up into millimeter scale sensor modes, drifting in the air currents, flecks of computing power settling on your skin, ingested, monitoring you inside and out.
But in the future, every square inch of every city will be alive with intelligence. Because every street and every building will have a network of microcomputers built right into them. Dr. Chris Piester calls it smart dust.
A smart dust particle or mote is a wireless sensor with sensing, computation, communication, and power in one package.
These all-in-one microcomputers will be small, very small.
The size of a mote today is about the size of a grain of rice. And we've shown that we can make the circuitry small enough and light enough that eventually it will be possible to make things that are on a sub-millimeter size scale.
Tiny specks of computer smart dust will form a vast invisible network that can help manage the infrastructure of even the largest city.
Smart cities in the future will take this low power, inexpensive, small technology and basically distribute it everywhere.
Look at that. He's just like, he's just sprinkling it around on the city streets. And that's like, you know, if I ever had a chance to put my hands in like a box of smart dust, I think I wouldn't do that, you know, because then it's like they can just send these really strong signals to your body with microwave. But this is like everything, like every new technology, they try and show that it's just going to make everything convenient. You know, us eating and drinking and inhaling smart dust, it'll, you know, we'll be able to just blink an eye and turn on our internet or turn on our computer. And these smart cities will be covered in smart dust, you know, so that they'll be able to surveil every part of the city and everybody will be safer and everything. But it's really, you know, we've seen the absolute dark side of this. So it's funny to see these documentaries where they're like, yeah, and they're just sprinkling smart dust all over in the grass near people's homes. It's so crazy.
Tiny computers record information about their surroundings, information they can send to other computers or to you. Smart dust on the tracks will monitor your commuter train so you know if it's running late. Potholes will be able to report themselves and warn your car. And you'll never have to wait for a radio traffic report again.
They're monitoring the flow of traffic and giving you alerts about what route is the right way to go to keep the traffic moving.
Bridges will get a coating of smart dust particles that can warn us when they detect stress fractures, helping avoid deadly...
Now, isn't that such a trick? Covering cities with smart dust so they can do all these convenient things, but as they're covering these cities with smart dust and not just using chemtrails now, they'll actually tell the population, hey, we've got to actually spray this smart dust on a city. It's going to obviously get on our skin and in our food and in our water and stuff even more than it is already. I mean, so you can just see how these people move forward with these objectives, and they're just like, everything's okay and this is awesome. It's really, this is really bad. It's really bad stuff.
Collapses. But smart dust will also allow buildings and streets to recognize you and respond accordingly.
I think increasingly, the environment will respond to who we are and adapt in consequence.
The city will know where you are if you want it to.
If you want it to.
Workplace.
Oh, wait, he threw that in at the end, if you want it to. And that's a big, huge lie on the end. Not if you want it to. It's going to track everybody, whether they want it or not. Whether they want it or not. Did we as targeted individuals say, hey, everywhere we go, we want to be surveilled? Did we have a choice? No, we did not have a choice. And we're just innocent, regular citizens. Like they're going to give other people a choice either. If you want this, if you want this dust sprayed all over you, or you want the city to know where you are at any point. I mean, the city to know where you are. Talk about like the agencies like DHS and NSA and all these, all these collective agencies knowing where you are. That's who's going to know where you are, not the city. They just say the city.
Know you. Smart Dust at the entrance will boot up your computer. And Smart Dust embedded in the elevator doors will automatically ring your floor.
Smart Dust is going to sense the environment and allow us to improve the way that we live our lives.
So with the two combined, you have the nanocrystals or nanodots or nanotechnology in our bodies, and then you have the nanodust, which is also in our bodies because we breathe it in through the air when the planes are dropping their chemtrails onto the environment. Also included in there is the Morgellons. So Morgellons dust or fibers are also included in the chemtrails that they're dropping on our planet. And so we ingest those things. We eat it, we consume it in our water, we absorb it from the air. It gets on all of our bodies. It can track us. It can tell them who we are. It can track our information, all our information. It can tell them how we're feeling. It can allow them to alter our bodies, our thinking, because it goes and forms part of our brains. Every part of our body, it forms part of. So that allows them to manipulate us internally.
As I promised, I'm analyzing.
Wait, I was gonna say something. Yeah, and like I say this a lot on my videos, and I talk about redundant systems. So with the military-industrial complex, they have many redundant systems for catalysts of how they deliver this directed energy, these electromagnetic frequencies to our brain and our nervous system. So they're still going to do implants, like rice-sized grains of implants. My friend in Canada has a stemoceiver, which is this little transceiver, basically, that they put up his nose when he was a kid. Now, it's an older technology, but they're going to keep on going with those older technologies so they can have, so if they have a targeted individual, they can have an implant in them right into, in a cluster of nerves to send a strong signal. They'll also be able to read the unique brain signature, so that's another redundant system. Then nanoparticulates, they're going to have nanoparticulates out of chemtrails and in our food and our water. Then nanotechnology, basically these microchips and smaller technological pieces that are transceivers. And then also, what was the last one? The Morgellons, which is a little bit, it's nanoparticulates, but it's organic material mixed in with heavy metals that actually is like a parasite, an actual parasite that can actually get into your body and go into certain places that they can send signals to. So it's all about redundant systems for the military-industrial complex. And for all this research and development and horrible torture, they want to have redundant systems so that if you start, and we definitely all need to be doing heavy metal detox, because it might be able to get some of these nanoparticulates out of our bloodstream and out of our brain. And it might be able to affect some of the nanotechnology, getting that out too. So we all need to be doing heavy metal detox. But say, I was doing a heavy metal detox and did a really good heavy metal detox, and I was cleansing right, getting the Morgellons or the biofilm off of my skin. So they would still have that unique brainwave signature, and if they put a bigger implant in my body. So it's about redundant systems in case one doesn't work, then they have the other one to fall back on.
What we have in our hair. This is a sample that I brought, and this is what we have on the screen. And my friend is going to tell me now a little bit more about what it is that we're looking at, and he's also going to send me some pictures of what we're looking at right at this moment. So pay attention, and you guys will learn something new today. So so apparently this
Well, it just starts moving.
is artificial light and it's able to grow.
Call that the nanotechnology.
Nanotechnology, imagine that.
Smart dust. This side you can see. What's happening here is what is inside, like this. This is from inside coming out. And it's nothing to do with the roots. It's more the matter is changing. That's a small one. This is on the Morgano root.
Morgano?
Yeah, Morgano. Look at it.
I've been starting to hear a lot of things about this thing.
Yeah, that's what it is right now.
Is that moving on its own?
Oh yeah, it's moving on its own.
It's moving on its own. That's something found on somebody's skin.
Oh, yeah, there it goes. And this is the dust around this?
Yes. And that when you breathe that. That's why everybody has that inside their body. That doesn't eat like we do. Like, you just eat.
Oh, Jesus.
Dress has a nest.
It's just in itself.
Very scary.
Oh, gosh.
So all the things I've been claiming about in terms of them being able to manipulate us, to control our thoughts, to direct us, to like put forces on us, that's how they do all of those things. Also, like these are the Morgellons is another aspect of it. The Morgellons are living fibers. They're living fibers that can multiply within our bodies, and once they've overrun our bodies, specifically for people who have very high acidity, because that's the environment they like to grow in. Once they've overrun our bodies, we are practically technology. We can be manipulated in any which way possible, and they use this to manipulate most people. And this is how I believe the Mandela effect happens. Mandela effect, for those of you who don't know, is when something has happened and people have a perception that it happened in one way, or it seems as if, I don't know how to explain it, it's very difficult to explain, but it makes it seem as if, so it's like you have a memory of something happening, and the reality of it is different from what the memory that you have, but you believe the memory of it is true. So it's as if time has been altered, or a moment in time has been altered, and they can do this mass altering of time or thoughts or of events through this mind control technology that they have. And so this is very all encompassing. And on top of this, like I've talked about witchcraft and demonic possession and all these other things. These are just smaller scales of what they do. This is how they operate. This is the kind of mentality and the practices that they adopt to inflict their mind control. So all of those practices, like all the spirituality stuff as well, is them like having an effect on our bodies, on our minds, trying to manipulate our realities with what we call spiritual, but it's more so it's a method they use. The method they use to control us and to affect us and to infiltrate our lives and to manipulate our lives as well. So really that's how most of it is done. And so it's really through the nanotechnology, the Morgellons fibers that replicate themselves, and through nanodust. These are three of the main ways that they are using to mind control each individual. Now, regardless whether medication works and helps you to stop hearing voices or not, you're still under mind control. So for those of you who consider yourself to be targeted individuals, you are a target.
Okay, so I just wanted to mirror her content, and please go check out the rest of the video on her channel. It's Bellaaa, Bella, and then I wanted to say, yeah, she was talking about the Mandela effect. It's giving me that thing again. An embedded page on this page says, this hangout on air will end if you continue broadcasting content you aren't authorized to use. Continue what I played that song, and then I was playing Bella's video, and that's it. Dude, they so screw with my channel. Oh yeah, I wanted to. It's like 2 warnings on my Google Hangouts, like saying that if you don't, what's the unauthorized content? Showing Bella's video. She hasn't copyrighted that, and she wants people to be talking about that. I guess maybe the song. So I can't play songs at the beginning. Other YouTubers play songs all the time, and they don't get warnings. Jeez 'em, peas 'em. But who cares? Just we'll keep going, even with all that, with YouTube sucking. But what was I going to say? Yeah, Mandela effect. I actually believe that too. I think that the Mandela effect may just be like everybody has these nanoparticulates and Morgellons and nanotechnology in their systems, like in America and around the world. And some people remember things they remember things the way they are now, and then some people remember it differently. Like I can say the Berenstain Bears were one of the books my parents read to me, and I loved when I was a kid. And I remember it being it was Berenstein, Berenstain Bears. But now it's actually the Berenstain Bears. Like it's Berenstein. And I totally remember it being the Berenstain Bears because I was a good reader when I was a kid. I actually won a lot of spelling bees and spelling contests. They say that really stupid people know how to spell and geniuses can't. But I was a really good speller, and I loved to read. And I remember it was Berenstain Bears. And I wonder if maybe they're doing some kind of wideband signals and kind of experimenting with huge things that happened or little things that happen within history and change people's perception of them. Because they also have and I guess I won't talk about the Mandela effect for too long, but the Star Wars one where Darth Vader says, Luke, I am your father. Like, it's not that in the movie. He actually says, no, I am your father. Like, he doesn't say, Luke, I am your father. He says, no, I am your father. And then they have a clip, like on one of these Mandela effect videos, where the guy, what's his name? He did what's the guy's name who played Darth Vader? My memory sucks so bad. He's like in everything. But y'all know who I'm talking about. That is sad that I can't remember his name. And I was, I'm going to go to the chat room. Y'all help me out with this. What's his name, guys? What's the guy? Does anybody? Okay, James Earl Jones. Thank you, nobody. Thank you. James Earl Jones, he says, God, I can't believe I couldn't remember that. My memory is just, it's really bad. But he's doing a thing where he's like talking about the script, and he's like, and I say, when I read that script and I read, Luke, I am your father, I was like, I'll definitely be Darth Vader. He was talking about the line that he delivered, and he actually thought it was something different too. So Mandela effect is pretty weird. Like, I don't really know. I really do think it's some sort of psyop, but it is very interesting because I see a lot of those, and I'm like, yeah, I do remember that being different, especially the Berenstain Bears. And I'm sure there's in that one about Star Wars. I think there's a lot of other ones too, though. But all right, so guys, I do want to read. I guess I don't want to make this a super long live stream. Yeah, I might as well hang out. If you guys want me to go over something particular, please put it in the chat room. But I do want to read this article real quick, and I may read another article. I know y'all just love me reading articles, but I just feel like it's so important to not. Okay, well, first, hold on. Okay, I'm sorry. First, I'm not going to read the article. I had this planned, and I forgot how I had it planned. I'm gonna do, because I said I was gonna do this a while back, and I really kind of want to stick with it, just so I show how many contractors there are and exactly about them talking about directed energy research and development. So I'm gonna do name the contractor, and I may have already named Raytheon, but I want to go back over Raytheon because I think that they are actually manufacturers of directed energy weapons and neurotechnologies, and they are also research and developers. And I think sometimes how it works, and I think this is pretty complicated, like all the intricacies of how the pyramid is structured from the DoD to the contractors. Then they subsidize, like some contractors like Raytheon would maybe get contracts from the DoD, and then they would find like a security company and then subsidize the research and development out. They manufacture, do some of the research and development, and then subsidize some of the work to smaller contractors. So it's like a pyramid of contractors, doing this crap and getting clearances to do it. But I wanted to go over Raytheon because you've got the #1 contract in the United States is Booz Allen Hamilton. The #2 is Boeing, and then #3 is Raytheon. So it's one of the three biggest military industrial contractors. So let's just read a little bit. The future battle space innovation, speed, disruption, machines that think and learn, missiles that travel 5 times the speed of sound, micro networks that control swarming robots and tell soldiers where the enemy is hiding. All are part of the U.S. National Defense Strategy, a plan to give the military decisive and deterrent technological advantage over adversaries. And Raytheon, with expertise spanning cyber warfare, precision weapons, and human-machine interaction, human-to-machine interfaces, human-brain-to-machine interfaces, human-machine interaction, is working to bring those technologies to the battlefield. Now let's go to the directed energy weapons portion. Okay, so the speed and low cost per management of directed energy is revolutionary in protecting troops against drones. Raytheon offers laser and high-power microwave solutions that render drones unable to fly. Read more about our anti-drone technology. The Counter Electronics High-Power Missile Project is an air-launched directed energy weapon capable of incapacitating or damaging electronic systems using EMP, electromagnetic pulse. Raytheon provides a disabling EMP blast for the system. And what they usually do with these contractors who are working on directed energy weapon systems, manned and unmanned, and neuroweapons and things like that, and high-powered microwaves, and basically active denial systems, they're going to come out, and what they're going to say first about directed energy weapons, if anybody's just looking on the surface, they're going to be like, okay, this can disable missiles, it can mess with enemy electronics. They're going to put all the stuff that isn't against human beings, where it's not being used on human beings. They're going to put all that stuff in the front, so that you have to research a lot more to realize that they are doing research and development on the human brain and nervous system, and just on human beings, especially with active denial devices. But they put all that other stuff up there first, like using it on heavy machinery and anti-drone and anti-missile technology and things like that. So people that don't look into it too much would be like, oh, those targeted individuals, they're talking about being hit with directed energy weapons and electromagnetic frequencies, but I'm looking up directed energy weapons, and they just use this stuff on missiles. They just use this stuff against drones and stuff, which is totally untrue. So you see how they present a lot of this information. And let's click on it and see if we can find some more information. So electronic warfare. Decoys, electronic battle management. To control, okay. Let's go ahead and read this. And that's the electromagnetic spectrum. That's what they're using on us. They're using the whole electromagnetic spectrum to torture us and to do remote neural manipulation and things to our nervous system and our brain. Strength across the spectrum. And DARPA said this too. It's in Raytheon saying it further down, which I'll read, but they're saying, complete control of the electromagnetic spectrum. So it's like the military industrial complexes of every country, they want to control the air, they want to control the sea, they want to control, the ground, they want to control, control everything. And now they want to control wavelengths. They want to control wavelengths across the world, which is full-scale dominance, asymmetrical warfare, full-scale dominance. Is that the way to say it? Full-scale dominance? I think so. But strength across the spectrum. Turn the lights out on your enemy. Operate unimpeded in the modern threat environment. To do that, you need to control the electromagnetic spectrum. Electronic warfare uses focused energy, directed energy. Oh, they're saying focused energy instead of directed energy in some of the stuff. Usually radio waves or laser light to confuse or disable an enemy's electronics. It can also involve listening, collecting an enemy's radio signals, or sensing the radar of an incoming missile. For more than 50 years, our jammers, decoys, and other electronic warfare products have earned a worldwide reputation for performance and reliability. Today, Today, we're pioneering new technologies like gallium nitride and giving our warfighters a strategic advantage by providing them with low-risk, modular, open architecture that can be easily adapted and upgraded. We are developing tactical lasers, the next-generation jammer, and other weapons, along with electrical systems capable of powering whatever innovations the future holds. So let's go down to this program. Electronic warfare battle management. Electronic warfare battle management enables services to visualize the invisible. EWPMT cuts through the clutter to navigate and control the electromagnetic spectrum. What I want to do, I want to go up here and I want to search. Let's just you know, see if we can find it. We'll put in the research on humans. I mean, I know we won't find anything about this, but what it takes to be a cyber hunter. Raytheon, the bot defenders, humans and machines team. Raytheon, mind of the swarm. Raytheon, aligning business and corporate responsibility. Let's try the first one, attracting, retaining, and developing top talent. So, I mean, obviously, we're not going to find anything about them, you know, researching and manufacturing weapons that are used on innocent, you know, citizens around the world. We must create, okay, so this is Randa G. Newsom, Vice President, Human Resources and Global Security. We must create an environment where every single candidate can envision themselves thriving, succeeding, and finding purpose at Raytheon. Okay, otherwise we simply sabotage our own competitiveness, blah, blah, blah. Blah, 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 blah. So they're just talking about employees. Let's see. All right, let's see, Neuroweapons. So a lot of the stuff that's going on with us, it's obviously pushed back a lot further. Neuroweapons don't match there. Okay, guys, so I'm going to go to, that was my name the contractor, name that contractor. And I'm just going to put out a bunch of them and show that they are doing research and development. Just anything that they put out in the public, I'll show, and I'll try and get some better, more comprehensive information that maybe they're not putting out on their websites. I'll be looking for that because we've just got to dig a little bit deeper, you know. So I wanted to read this from Science and Politics. This was an article. It's an online article from, wish they showed the date because I always like to know the date of when these were written. But they don't show the date. I'm sure it was written probably from 2016 to 2018. And I'm going to go ahead and read this, guys, because any articles about the Bulletin of Atomic Scientists, I'll be looking up a lot of stuff on there and getting a lot of stuff up on deck from those guys, because they're really writing a lot about neuroweapons and really just saying, you know, yeah, I mean, we're using these protocols on the human brain, the nervous system, which is a direct, I mean, it's a direct admittance that they would have to be researching on human beings. They don't just come out and say that blatantly, but from when they talk about this, like when James G. Adorno talks about it, you can infer. I mean, and you can not just infer, not just guess, but you can actually logically infer that from what he's saying, they are experimenting on innocent human beings around the world for this stuff, their brains and their nervous systems. Okay, when neuroscience leads to neuroweapons. Bulletin of Atomic Scientists. In general, the universal prohibition on biological weapons is widely supported, and there's a healthy concern over how dual-use technologies, those with both beneficial and dangerous applications, might threaten it. The upcoming 8th Review Conference of the Biological and Toxic Weapons Convention, BTWC, in November will tackle this concern, as have individual countries. The German Ethics Council issued a 2014 report recommending legal regulation of worrisome dual-use biological research. And in 2016, the U.S. National Science Advisory Board for Biosecurity published recommendations on the risks and benefits of so-called gain-of-function research, which aims to identify how pathogens evolve by forcing genetic changes that sometimes make them more dangerous. That said, most of the attention has concentrated only on dangers posed by microbiology and novel pathogens. This tight focus risks missing other trends in the life sciences that may threaten the norm against biochemical weapons. Advances in cognitive neuroscience, in particular, might have dangerous implications, and we know that they do. The advances in cognitive neuroscience, where they are weaponizing neuroscience and trying to find out more while trying to figure out what they can do to the brain and the nervous system to control people, has been very dangerous and maybe the darkest thing that's ever happened on the earth, you know, what they're doing with this stuff. While neuroscience, which studies the brain and central nervous system, has enormous potential for good, a subset of neuroscience research is dual use, with the potential to be applied developing incapacitating agents and interrogation tools. Despite their appeal in modern conflicts, particularly those in which enemies are embedded in civilian populations, and you know, that's a huge thing, guys. That's a huge angle of this, you know, because when I'm around my family, I'm still getting hit with V2K, and I'm still getting the remote neural manipulation and external hits with microwaves and things like that. When I'm around friends, I'm still getting hit. So that's one of the very important angles for the military industrial complex. And actually, you know, even though we're not they do classify us as the enemy. You know, they do classify us as the enemy, and it's a false flag against us. But even though we're not really the enemy, they're practicing on, you know, on hitting targets when they're in a big crowd. Like, so say I go to the mall or something, I'm being hit by a bidirectional stream of energy and external microwaves, but they're not really hitting anybody around them, or nobody can really feel any kind of splash off of the technology. You know, so that's one of the angles that they're really researching and focusing upon, is hitting a person, an individual within a city population around them. That's one of the really big parts of the research and development. Let's see, where was I? Civilian populations. Such non-lethal neuroweapons are unlikely to be non-lethal in practice, and they run contrary to both the BTWC and the Chemical Weapons Convention. Two modest proposals could help prevent misuse of dual-use neuroscience, increasing national transparency about the aims of current neuroscience research, and making neuroscience the subject of science and technology review under the two international conventions. And I really hope that they get this done, but I do not think that these international conventions will be talking about this much, because every country's military industrial complex is making so much money off of this, and it's like such an arms race with directed energy weapons and neuroweapons. And I think they're gonna, you know, they have people within these conventions and things that are on the take, and they're not gonna let it happen. You know, they're not gonna let us have worldwide discussions of how dangerous this stuff is and what it's done to people. And we may be able to force it in the future. They may feel like they have to, hopefully, but I just feel like they're gonna be fighting that all the way down the path. So then it comes to good intentions, and we all know the road to hell is paved with good intentions. It's kind of ironic that I said all the way down the path, the road to hell with these people. Good intentions. Neuroscience research promises huge benefits for the world. For countries with rapidly aging populations, advances in the field will be integral to managing and alleviating chronic pain, mental illness, and neurocognitive degenerative conditions such as dementia. Dementia alone was estimated to cost the United States as much as $215 billion in 2010, including in opportunity costs for patients, families, and caregivers. Researchers estimate this figure will surpass $1 trillion per year by 2040 unless new interventions are found. That's weird because with this technology and with neuroweapons, they're making me, you know, I don't think I have something like dementia, but I feel like I have Alzheimer's sometimes because I couldn't even remember James Earl Jones. He's like one of my favorite actors, and especially voice actors. You know, they've destroyed my memory to, I guess, help people in the future, which would be like a trickle down, would be something good that kind of trickles off all the horrible things that they're doing to citizens around the world and all the horrible things that they have yet to do. They have done, but more of it in on the stage of war, you know. At the same time, neuroscience presents a range of possible uses for countries seeking to improve national security, whether against conventional threats from other states or militant non-state groups. The U.S. Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, more commonly known as DARPA, is seeking advances in the science of behavior in prediction and modification that would improve intelligence gathering and detection and confrontation of security threats. So, I mean, we all know that's going on right now, but it's actually, you know, they're torturing, you know, us so extremely and torturing people in other countries so extremely, and then just surveilling that torture. It's really sick. It's really sick. That's what me and my friend and I were talking about. I mean, just like, you know, where do we go from here? And like, you know, he's talking about getting help from a doctor, and it's like in a regular world, like a non-Twilight Zone world, when we're, you know, being tortured, and, you know, you have something like an implant or a stemoceiver within your body, you should be able to go to a doctor and they should be able to help you. But because it's all, you know, it's national security and nobody really wants to help because they're scared for their own families, it's like, dude, this is so, what, you know, this is just what, you know, what do we do about this when everybody, even if they don't know the whole big picture and aren't really colluding, if they won't help us, I mean, they're still working with this evil system. I guess, I mean, y'all all know about that. I mean, it's common sense how corrupt this all is and how hard it is for us to get real help. A subset of neuroscience research, though, involves the development of pharmacological agents that would incapacitate targets and aid in interrogation. Subset of neuroscience research, though, involves the development of pharmacological agents that would incapacitate targets and aid in interrogation. So that's, I think, a lot of the targeted individuals getting, you know, chemical attacks. It's stuff like that. You know, unless I'm completely, you know, I may be just completely missing it, but from what I know, my targeting mostly has to just do with directed energy weapons and neuroweapons. But I know targeted individuals who their targeting is mainly chemical attacks and chemical agents and things like that. This research is typically dual use, as many agents can be used as anesthetics and analgesics, or to help develop therapeutic tools for countering the effects of dementia. Interaction between brain scientists and state militaries is not new. For example, in the 1980s, the U.S. Army explored alpha-2 adrenergic receptor antagonists as incapacitating agents. These same drugs are also prescribed in lower doses to treat Tourette syndrome. And I think from the very beginning, you know, from the very beginning, brain scientists and hospitals and everything have been working alongside state militaries. You know, like even in the time of like JFK, the CIA was working with Dr. Ochsner, who I went to Dr. Ochsner, or I went to Ochsner because he has a bunch of medical clinics, which is where I do think that I was implanted. You know, all these hospitals and scientists have had you know, very, very close relationships to the military-industrial complex ever since the military-industrial complex came into existence. Today, calmatives, agents that render individuals calm and compliant, are seen as potentially useful in riot control and counterinsurgency. And that's kind of weird, because like I really do, I don't know if you guys would believe me on this, because I know a lot of target individuals have a lot of rage, and I've had a lot of rage for many, many years about this. And some of my lethargy, and not, I'm very, like I'm fighting the big picture. You know, I've picked my battle. My battle is with this whole thing and not the gang stalkers, and, you know, not my attackers really. It's to stop all this. So I try not to get angry, and I've made a conscious decision to do that. But I think there's a lot of remote neural manipulation on me to actually calm me down, while all this stuff is happening to me, so that I'm not as, you know, I'm not as motivated to take risks and do things like that. So I'm really fighting to get control and really, you know, get my neuroplasticity going and let my real, whatever I'm feeling, get it past that remote neural manipulation. You know, what I really want to feel about this and what's right to feel, because I do feel lately that I'm not angry enough. Like I'm so tired, and I'm just like, oh God, I'm so tired, and we've just got to stop this. But I should have the anger that I had, you know, 2 years ago about babies being, and I guess I am angry intellectually, but that rage that you feel, like that your brain and your body feels, that really drove me. That drove me for the longest time, and my attackers saw how that drove me. It drove me to do better things and to get better information out, and really, you know, convince a lot of people about this, like my psychiatrist and my parents and things like that. I mean, I'm still doing that, but they're trying, you know, they all try these different protocols. And it just reminds me of this. I don't know if you guys have seen, it's a movie. I guess I don't want to show the movie because my video will get taken down, or they'll give me threats saying the live stream will show up. Geez, them. But in Blade 3, it's a scene that I really love. In this woman gets killed, and it's like, it's this other woman who's on his team. It's her like best friend, and she's so angry. She's angry that Dracula had killed like her best friend. And I know it's a little bit, it's a cheesy movie, but she's so angry, and she's like crying, and she can't get control of it. And Blade looks at her, and he's like, use it, you know, use it. And I was targeted. I think I was targeted when that movie came out. But I watched it after. I watched it while I was targeted, and that really pumps me up. I'm like, okay, I'm angry, and I'm going to use that. And I'd always focus my rage into, you know, getting on those conference calls, moderating conference calls, making videos and everything like that. It's a little bit harder when my motivation seems to be being zapped a little bit by remote neural manipulation. I'm like, I'm not as mad. I don't have that anger. Well, I guess I do have anger sometimes. It's just weird. It's like the feeling of the, you know, and I've told you all this before, like the Jose Delgado, when a bull sees a red cape, it gets angry and it goes after it. But they put electrode in this bull, and the bull just looked at the red cape. And I get that, a little bit of that feeling sometimes. And I wonder, is it because I'm so tired and I have no adrenaline left, or is that one of the remote neural manipulation protocols to keep me docile while they continue to experiment on me? And I guess I need to just get angry about the whole situation and them doing that, and bust through it. So that's why I'm really trying to bust through it to my emotions, to what I feel, you know, get past their manipulations. In 2003, a National Research Council report noted the theoretical possibility of peacefully incapacitating combatants, agitators, reducing the need for the violence that is frequently associated with many of the current methods. So pacifying people. A U.S. multi-service document on how to deploy non-lethal weapons notes that using riot control agents in war is prohibited by both the CWC in a 1975 U.S. executive order, but contends that these agents may nonetheless be employed as defensive means of warfare for such tasks as controlling riots, dispersing civilians who are being used as shields, and conducting rescue missions. The most famous recent use of an incapacitating chemical agent occurred in 2004 when Russian special forces used an unidentified gas, later named as a derivative of the anesthetic fentanyl, to end a hostage crisis in a Moscow theater. It is easy enough to see why some military leaders find the idea of using non-lethal neuroweapons in armed conflict appealing. There is, in principle, a case for using them in unconventional conflict scenarios, such as hostage situations, when an enemy is using human shields, or when insurgents are occupying civilian buildings, such as hospitals. Why don't they, why do they need to do the research and development and torture and traumatize innocent citizens? Why don't they go out and find hostage situations and then experiment on the person that's holding the people hostage and see how it works? I just don't see how any of this good stuff that can come through it has anything to do with, controlling and torturing and traumatizing and raping, raping the minds of innocent civilians all over the world. And I mean, I think we know the answer to that, because these articles are so mamby-pamby Candyland, just like, oh, it's some good stuff that's going to come from this, good stuff that's going to come from this. But we truly know that there are objectives that are dark and evil and about the control of society and about the control of civilians and false flagging people. False flagging people and doing psyops on people if they're speaking out or if they're speaking truth, or if they're non-compliant. There's a lot of other stuff that goes into this, not just the trickle, the 2% trickle off of good things that are going to happen in the medical industry, or the good things that police or the army can do with these weapons. When everybody's the enemy, when they make everybody the enemy, like all the citizenship enemies of the state, then hey, they can fight a war against us, which is what they're doing, But principles must give way to facts when making applied ethical decisions. Principles must give way to facts, blah, blah, blah. This hypothetical non-lethal neuroweapon is, to borrow from the philosopher Michael Davis, like a flying pig in a thought experiment. For the example, to guide action, we would need to live in a universe where pigs can fly. Because we don't live in that kind of universe, the example is invalid. What? This hypothetical non-lethal, oh yeah, it's true. Oh, that's totally true. Yeah, the hypothetical non-lethal neuroweapons where Candyland and it's all good, that's like a flying pig. Yeah. The example isn't. We likewise don't live in a universe where the ideal non-lethal weapon is possible, much less plausible. We live in a universe of corruption, and where the top of the pyramid hates all the people. They think we're cattle, and they can justify doing anything to us and experimenting on us, and then even taking it further and trying to take some of those things they've learned on us and control the whole population. I mean, why wouldn't they? If our lives are worth nothing to these people trying to make money off us and experiment on us, what makes any other citizen's life? Why do they think that their lives matter to this hierarchy? All right, hold on, guys. Well, I'll wait. My electronic cigarette's out of batteries, but I'll wait and go ahead and finish this. Actually, hold on. Guys, I might go ahead and because I think I have a little bit more of this article to go. So I think I'm going to play a song. Does anybody have a request for a song that really pumps them up or gives them inspiration? Hey, Mortii Nostra Nemesi. Hey, Victorious Bala. Hey, Future Knowledge. How you doing? My son is for us. Does anybody want to hear a specific song? I'm going to play a song real quick while I go grab my electronic cigarette. So give me a second. Intermission. What song do I want to play? Okay, I got a good song. I got a good song. All right, guys, and I will be right back. I'm going to play this. This may be the stuff that I'm getting in trouble for. But
I needed to improve my client's site ranking, so I went to Fiverr and got help from their SEO expert.
okay, it's this advertisement on it.
What would you look at?
They are inside your head. You got a voice that sounds. You won't get past this one. You won't win your freedom. It's like a constant war, and you want to settle that scar. But your breath's not beating, and you feel defeated. This goes out to the heaviest heart. Oh, for everyone who's hit their limit. It's not over yet. It's not over yet. And even when you think you're finished, it's not over yet. It's not over yet. Keep on fighting. Out of the dark into the light. It's not over. Hope is rising. Never give in. Never give up. It's not over. Yeah, whoa. Yeah, whoa. Oh, king set match. Time to put it in your paws. Oh, feel the winds of leaving. It's redemption season. All live the young and high. Cheers to a brand new start. Every burden breathing. Live a life of freedom. Oh, to everyone who's hit their limit. It's not over yet. It's not over yet. And even when you think you're finished, it's not over yet. It's not over yet. Keep on fighting. Out of the dark into the light. It's not over. Hope is rising. Never give in. Never give up. It's not over. Yeah, come on. Yeah. And life is a race we run. So run till the race is won. Don't give up. Never give up. Life is a race we run. So run till the race is won. Don't you ever give up. We will never give up. To everyone who's hit their limit. And even when you think you're finished. To everyone who's hit their limit. It's not over yet. It's not over yet. And even when you think you're finished, it's not over yet. It's not over yet. Keep on fighting. Out of the dark into the light. It's not over. Hope is rising. Never give in. Never give up. It's not over. Yeah, whoa. Yeah, whoa. Yeah, whoa. Yeah, whoa.
All right, guys, I love that song. I'm back. I just had to get my electronic cigarette, one with a recharged battery. And let me go ahead and finish this article up. I think I might have one more thing, unless you guys have something y'all want me to go through. I did have something about the QBARC manual because that's where, and I guess I'll go on that because I do want to say the QBARC torture manual that the CIA came up with, it's used in a lot of our torture protocols. You know, they came up with a torture manual about how to extract information, sleep deprivation, you know, psychic driving and things like that, from all these things that these neuroscientists were doing, like you and Cameron, with microwave hearing and psychic driving. So I think I might do a whole video just on the QBARC manual and CIA torture, so we can see where a lot of the protocols, you know, from this QBARC manual and then MK Ultra, and then they're using these torture protocols, you know, for what they're doing to us. They're taking it all, everything they've learned in the past from all this experimentation and torture, and then they're taking these directed energy weapons and they're taking those protocols and putting them in as much as they can with what they can do with this remote neural manipulation, you know, and directed energy weapon torture. Okay, so let me go back to the article. I'm going to do a whole video on that, I think. I just need to go ahead and do a video. I really want to do a video on the QBARC manual and CIA torture, so we can kind of connect some dots there. And I do show vehicular stalking when I go out, but I do want to just dedicate a couple of videos to how real gang stalking is, and show the gang stalking manual, which I've done on other videos, but really make a comprehensive, you know, maybe do a live stream and just do it all about gang stalking, in the things that it's supposed to do to us. It's supposed to discredit us. It's supposed to traumatize us. It's supposed to let us know that we're being watched, because this is overt surveillance. You know, there are some targeted individuals where they are surveilling them and they don't want them to know, which is state-of-the-art mind control, you know, would be in state-of-the-art mind control. But with us, with targeted individuals who know this is going on, they want us to know that we're being watched. They want us to know that we're, you know, being harassed by these gang stalkers. So they kind of put it in our face and everything like that. Okay, so let me go ahead and continue with this article, guys. Thank you to my moderators in the chat. You guys are doing a good job. Just, you know, if somebody is really going after people and insulting them, you know, y'all know what to do. You know, if it's somebody who's you know, y'all know, but y'all, thank you guys. And I need to get some more moderators. You know, just people who come to the videos all the time, you know, so y'all can just kind of, you know, if you see somebody really, you know, really insulting somebody, you can get them out of there. Why? First, lethality is hard to define. Dose makes the poison, and in practice, we know too little about the diffusion of gaseous weapons in combat environments to be able to state confidently that a weapon is non-lethal. A weapon is non-lethal. That statement is so ironic. A weapon is meant to hurt somebody. How could it be non-lethal? An allergic reaction, hyperventilation, or simply being too old or too young could render a neuroweapon fatal, particularly for non-combatants, which it did to my dad. You know, after my 33rd birthday, he had ringing in his ears and a headache, and there was something different about his blood-brain barrier that did not interact with these weapons well, and he had you know, an aneurysm in his brain from this. And there have been you know, probably targeted individuals that have died from heart attacks, who have died from strokes and things like that. So these non-lethal protocols, they're saying that are non-lethal, are very lethal. You know, they've stopped some target individuals' bodies where they've just died. You know, like Elvira, she was hit with chemical weapons and directed energy weapons. Her body just gave out at a certain point, and she didn't wake up. This non-lethal business really makes me angry. Second, context matters. If neuroweapons were to be used in an area where an unconscious civilian could fall to harm, non-lethal would lose its meaning. We can say that gently shoving a person is non-lethal, while still acknowledging that a gentle shove off a cliff is fatal, even if it isn't the shove but the fall that ultimately kills. In the same way that precision munitions in the wrong context can cause significant civilian casualties, the ideal of non-lethality elides the reality. Terminology should not lull us into complacency. And I'd say that's very smart right there. Because people hear non-lethal weapons, non-lethal weapons, non-lethal weapons, and they don't think that there's any kind of you know, danger to it, because non-lethal weapons. and it kind of lulls the population into thinking, hey, these are okay, when they're actually killing people. The research and development and experimentation with non-lethal weapons is killing people, and then putting a lot of people in a torture hell that's almost worse than death. That is worse than death, I'd say. Okay, third, the history of chemical weapons suggests that commanders often vastly overestimate their efficacy and underestimate the confusion that can wreak in managing the battlefield. Their tactical advantages over other options are limited at best, yet they have led to expensive and error-prone arms races. Part of the reason U.S. President Richard Nixon renounced the first use of chemical weapons and all methods of biological warfare in 1969. Finally, it is not clear that the norms of armed conflict can accommodate the restraint needed to practice non-lethal methods. Non-lethal weapons of many kinds are used by law enforcement, but often to lethal effect. You know, like tasers and things like that, they're supposed to be non-lethal, but they're like shooting 7 tasers, you know, 7 of those tasers into somebody and giving them heart attacks or making them fall on the floor and bust their head open. So those non-lethal devices turn very lethal. I wouldn't even say, though, that, you know, with directed energy weapon torture and, you know, neuroweapons torture and, you know, the things that they're doing to us as targeted individuals who are overtly tortured by this stuff, I don't think they're really calling any of those things non-lethal. They're not saying anything about them. You know, they're not talking about the weapons that they're actually, you know, shooting an electromagnetic frequency to interact with our brain and our nervous system, or the microwaves that like cook, you know, that feel like they're cooking us, cooking our muscles and stuff like that. I don't think you could ever call that, you know, non-lethal. I guess let's say this, like, probably if my attackers had used these weapons on me for like a week, I'd be like, oh yeah, that's non-lethal. But then they take these non-lethal weapons that if they maybe use them on you for a short period of time, it'd be non-lethal. They take them and use them on us for decades. Then they become very, 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 very lethal and destroy our body, you know. The threshold for the use of lethal force in armed conflict is much lower than in law enforcement, and not without reason. But this lower threshold could lead to more, not less lethal use of non-lethal weapons. The road to hell. Oh, that's ironic. I didn't even read this article. We were talking about the road to hell. Oh, because they said good intentions. Okay, so they're putting it all together there. The road to hell. And that's the road that we're not on. I mean, we're not on the road to hell, but the people using these weapons, they're on the road to hell. They're in hell. I hope they go to hell after they die. The road to hell. International law strongly prescribes the use of neuroweapons, which target the brain and central nervous system and can be chemical, biological, or toxin-producing in nature. They're not talking about, I don't know if they're talking about neurotechnology as neuroweapons in this, but we know that neuroweapons there are neurotechnology neuroweapons that aren't just chemicals. The CWC bans the production, acquisition, stockpiling, retention, and use of chemical weapons. This relatively straightforward prohibition is undercut, however, by the convention's provision allowing chemical agents to be used for certain law enforcement activities, like riot control. The BTWC is more sweeping in its prohibition. It bans biological agents or toxins from being used as weapons, whatever their mode or method of production. But unlike the CWC, the BTWC has no mechanism for inspecting national facilities to determine whether the prohibition is being upheld. Therefore, neuroweapons thus present a challenge for both the CWC because of its limited scope and the BTWC because of its lack of an inspection mechanism. In light of these limitations, it would not be surprising to see governments turn to exotic, incapacitating agents in the coming decade in an attempt to strengthen their ability to respond to threats that are unconventional, mobile, or embedded within civilian populations. Like innocent citizens living in condos who want to go to a job, like you guys out there who are just regular citizens who want to be with your family and maybe have a family. We are dangerous, dangerous, dangerous enemies embedded within civilian populations. We are the civilian population, which is so scary. Some of these neuroweapon users may be autocratic regimes interested in repressing dissent or rebellion. But as we've seen, the militaries of rich democratic nations also have an interest in using non-lethal chemical weapons in attempting to confront insurgents or terrorist groups. Attempting to counter the threat of terrorism without harming non-combatants is arguably a well-placed intention, but it paves the road to hell by threatening to undermine almost half a century of work to keep the global community engaged in upholding the ban on biological weapons and the hard-won, if incomplete, destruction of chemical weapons stockpiles around the world. Facilities that can create non-lethal biochemical agents aren't too different from ones that can create lethal agents, and may be identical if the only difference between a lethal and non-lethal weapon is dose. International agreements like the CWC and BTWC survive on trust. Yeah. Let's just have all these agencies survive on trust. We just trust them, right? Hey, we just trust the CIA and we just trust the DOD, and you know, they're experimenting and torturing citizens with chemicals and neurotechnological weapons, electromagnetic spectrum. That trust is needed to maintain the prohibition against biological weapons in the face of a range of other threats, such as the proliferation of dual-use biotech, non-state actors interested in chemical and biological weapons, and naturally occurring pandemics. It would be a shame to break that fragile trust and jeopardize potential gains for the limited strategic benefits of non-lethal weapons. Moreover, subsuming neuroscience advances under the rubric of national security may derail the field from researching peaceful uses. The U.S. BRAIN Project, a White House-backed research initiative launched in 2013, was hailed for the health advances it might bring about. And the U.S. BRAIN Project, I'll tell you guys, is definitely one of the projects that is researching and developing this neurotechnology on citizens like us. The U.S. BRAIN Project is something that is definitely researching, torturing citizens. And they're saying like, oh, you know, well, all this torture and stuff like that, it's going to come with these great benefits to health and the great benefits to the medical field, because they always cover up anything that's really scary, that has a dark side, and the dark side is already revealing itself in society. They always put up front how great it is and how convenient it is and how many people it's going to save, while on the back end they hurt people with it. They think about how much they can control people, and it's very, very dark, and it's part of an asymmetric warfare, full spectrum dominance. A full third of the project's 2016 funding, though, is through DARPA, obviously. Although some basic neuroscience questions about maladies like post-traumatic stress disorder may be addressed by national security agencies, the central mission of DARPA and similar organizations remains a military one. Time and again, the story of the relationship between science and security is that when the two are mixed, the priorities of the latter dominate the trajectory of the former. There is no reason things are likely to be different this time. The priorities of the latter, yeah, dominate the trajectory of the former. Yeah, that's exactly right. Like any kind of good science or technology or advancement, the military-industrial complex snatches it up and hides the knowledge from the public because they want to use it for control and for weapons in war. Everything. The internet was like that. The internet, you know, would never have been created if they didn't want to use it for communications during war. So almost every technology in science is first commandeered by the military-industrial complex, and then when they're kind of done with it and up to the next rung of the next thing that everybody's far away from learning, then they'll kind of trickle it down to the public and let them use it for medical benefit, you know, for convenience in life, when they've destroyed so many families and you know, just so many people with these technologies and scientific innovation. Paving a better path. The upcoming 8th Review Conference in Geneva will be an ideal venue to raise awareness about troubling technological developments in neuroscience and enact policies to strengthen the norm against biochemical weapons. The upcoming 8th Review Conference in Geneva. So 8th Review Conference in Geneva. Let me see, has that already happened? 8th Review Conference in Geneva. Eighth Review Conference, Biological Weapons Convention. Okay, so that was in 2017. That's already done and over, and I guess they didn't talk about technological neuroweapons. General statements, closing statements. Closing statements for the USA. Okay, I might read this on another video. Statement by Ambassador Robert Wood, U.S. Special Representative for Biological Weapons Convention. Mr. Chairman, my delegation regrets that this conference was unable to reach agreement on a substantive program of post-RevCon work. We listened closely over the last 3 weeks, and we were optimistic that it would be possible to reach such an agreement. Many delegations called for a new, stronger intersessional program that would allow for substantive expert work and concrete action. Many delegations supported strengthening the implementation support unit and taking important steps in a variety of areas, from science and technology to international cooperation to national implementation to taking steps to realize the promise of Article 7 for emergency assistance. We could have done those things, we supported them, and we were prepared to accept many things we did not support in the interest of a strong consensus outcome. Some delegations wanted to use the intersessional process to discuss their aspirations for a verification protocol. We don't agree that this is a useful way ahead, but we made clear that we were prepared to engage in a discussion of a full range of proposals for strengthening this convention. One delegation was particularly interested in creating a battalion of mobile biomedical units owned and operated by the BWC. We thought this was neither feasible nor a particularly effective approach, but we were prepared to give it prominence in a new intersessional program. This is our convention. We spent the last 4 years working to promote common understanding and effective action, and this is where we are. I encourage all delegations to think about all that over the coming months and consider seriously how we should proceed. Yeah, I mean, none of these countries that are working on neurotechnology and you know, this kind of trauma-based mind control and stuff, they're all going to say they don't agree for people reviewing and verification and stuff of the technologies that countries are using, because they're using them, they're using them out of the public eye, and they don't really want some standard where people can come in and check and see that they're not actually doing, immoral things with these weapons, because they want to continue on their programs for advancing neuroweapons and advancing their understanding of the brain and the nervous system of different brain and nervous system of different cultures. So I think they already have a very basic understanding of how the general brain and the general nervous system work and how to control it. So did I go over this already? Let's just read it again. I may have already gone over this. Yeah, one step in the right direction would be to require greater transparency among the states that are party to the BTWC by calling on them to disclose their research interest in programs in cognitive neuroscience. Given the undoubted benefits the field could bring to medicine and public health, there is little reason to keep those programs under a shroud of secrecy by, for example, housing them in defense organizations. A commitment, yeah, could bring. There is little reason to keep these programs under a shroud of secrecy by, for example, housing them in defense organizations. And what have they done with all this neurotechnology? What have they done with all this neuroscience used for war? The Pentagon, the DoD, DARPA, and then the contractors that they're giving clearances to are doing all the research and development and keeping it very secret because they want that knowledge and they want that power, and then they'll trickle out a little bit later on. That's a very important statement, and that's how they do keep it under a shroud of secrecy, by letting defense organizations control it all and not even report what they're doing to U.S. citizens, what they're doing with the technologies or bio agents or anything like that. A commitment by members to transparency and openness in their neuroscience research should not be difficult to achieve. Second, neuroscience and its associated subspecialties in pharmacology, cognitive science, and microbiology should be subject to detailed review for their capacity to produce technologies that run counter to the convention. There are already signs of support for such a measure. I already read this? I read both of these things. Wow, and I don't even remember. At the preparatory committee to the 8th Review Conference, which concluded in August, participants spoke often about the need for a robust science and technology review process to strengthen the BTWC. These two relatively modest measures are important steps towards resolving the dual-use dilemma neuroscience presents and paving the way for further policy action at national and international levels. So that was a pretty good article. They didn't go much into actual neurotechnology. They went into more of the biochemical neuroscience, but it still applies. It applies to actual neuroweapons and neurotechnology. Yeah, I'm going to do a whole video about the QBARC manual. And do a whole video on that, and then a whole video on some important things that I want to get out about gang stalking. All right, guys, I think that's going to be it for tonight. Hey, Autumn, Future Knowledge, Victorious Bala, are you guys going to be able to go to sleep tonight, or are y'all up all night? Yeah, Future Knowledge says, I don't have any Morgellons symptoms. I don't know if they're using nanobots on me or not. I don't either. I know that I'll get stuff off of my skin when I do cleansing, but I don't have any, I think Morgellons reacts differently in different people's bodies. So you may have something like Morgellons, but your body's not reacting to it. And it may just be on your skin or something. But I would say that we all have nanotechnology and nanoparticulates in us, and it's been activated within us, so they're using it to actually directly target us. But there are many, I'd say the rest of Americans who aren't being directly targeted have nanotechnology and nanoparticulates, maybe even, in their bloodstream that go through the blood-brain barrier, where if somebody decides to target them, they're set up for it, Yeah, the biofilm is a layer over us. Hey, good night, Victorious Bala. Nobody says you may stay up. I think I'm going to stay up. I think I'm going to stay up all night because I woke up at 9:30 and I need to hang out with my parents. Yeah, me and Ken were talking. His parents, he's trying to convince them of all this and get them to help him. And I've kind of given up with my parents. They help me, because that's how I live in this condo. I get help from my mom. And I use my disability to pay for, other stuff and some bills and stuff. But without my parents, I'd be on the street. Hey, Charles, what game are you playing? I'm still playing Red Dead Redemption 2. I can't, I'm doing 100%. And there's all these master challenge, a master herbalist challenge, master hunter challenge. And you're in the wilderness in the West, so you can ride your horse around long distances, and it makes me feel not so isolated and stuck inside of a condo. I'm addicted to that game. What game are you playing, Charles? Okay, nobody playing Silent Hill 4 on PS2? Yeah, some of the old PS2 games. Yeah, I go back to my PS3 sometimes, you know, because I wanted to play the Walking Dead, you know, the Telltale series. So I played like the second one, and then I got the Walking Dead, like the next one for PS4. And they're like these games where you go through and you have to make these decisions that can change the whole thing. But then, like, I played it for a while, and then I was like, wait, I really want to go play Red Dead Redemption 2. And I'm like, I got to finish everything in the game. So Charles said, life is futile. Is that the game? Life is futile. Is it a computer game? Is it a PC game? No, nobody's cool, man. You don't need to delete you don't need to delete nobody's messages. Yeah, Red Dead Redemption, man, play it, nobody. I think it's like one of the best video games I've played in my life. And that's one thing that God has given me, video games. And I've been watching like, you know, Robot Chicken. I've been watching all like season 5 through season 8 on this Kiss Cartoon website. And it's kind of keeping my mind. It's something funny and just something. And if I have the Robot Chicken going on with headphones, and I'm playing Red Dead Redemption 2. And I was actually like the other day about, I think it was like 2 days ago. Yeah, 2 days ago, I woke up and I could hear the V2K, and then I kind of sat down. I started playing my video game. I started watching a movie, and like for 7 hours, I didn't hear the V2K, and I was like, but I think it was still going on. Like I think the V2K was still rolling on, but I was actually in a state of doing stuff to where I didn't notice it at all. And at the end of like that 7 hours, I go, I'm not even hearing V2K, and then I started hearing it. So it was like I went into this adaptive state where it was going on. It's audible V2K, but I literally was not paying attention to it, not even 1%. So remember, guys, that we can adapt. I mean, we have a lot of neuroplasticity and adaptation to this stuff. If it's really bad and it feels like it's, you know, even the external microwaves, the remote neural manipulation, visual inputs that they're doing, your brain can really adapt to those things, and it will become better. You know, it will become better because your body will kind of take charge and stuff like that. I'm gonna nobody, you seem to come to a lot of my my live chats. I'm gonna go ahead and make you a moderator too. I want you guys that come a lot to be moderators, so y'all can just kind of look out for people who are really bad. Don't don't do it just so like if somebody's just used a cuss word or something. But if somebody's really dogging people, y'all know. Charles has been doing that in autumn. Y'all have been doing a really good job. I really appreciate that, guys. And I went and I watched some of your videos, Future Knowledge. And I know they're hitting you really hard. But you got some good videos, man. And that's a good, Future Knowledge was talking about, going into these chat rooms. So like if you see a TI, Romola D or Dr. Horton or, a lot of other TIs who have, open chats, go in there and put information, because you're gonna have other targeted individuals. They're gonna be watching the video. They're gonna have the chat open. And if you put in some really good links to some good articles, first of all, I'll probably read them if I'm watching chat, if I'm able to watch chat, which I'm gonna get it so I can always see chat. I know I'm gonna figure it out. I actually just probably need to watch a tutorial on Google Hangouts, but it's hard to get stuff done. But you got to realize when people watch these videos, they're going to be kind of looking at chat, and if they see something that catches their eye or something like that, then they're going to go to that link or something like that. Yeah, adaptation is so important. is so important. You know, the thing how God made nature is you build strength from resistance. So and I don't think, like, a lot of people who aren't defending, they're like, do meditation, resist this technology, resist the remote neural manipulation. But I still do believe you've got to buffer it out. You got to buffer it out with grounding. You got to buffer it out, Dave Case of CD, buffer it out with passive shielding. And then with the rest of some of it's going to get through, and then you get your willpower and you get your just, you know, meditation and your will, and you, I think I said will twice, but then you build that up and you get stronger, and your mind gets stronger in a lot of ways. I feel like my mind and just my whole being has gotten stronger spiritually, and my mind's gotten stronger in a lot of ways. Like, I'm so much less affected by little things that bothered me in the past. So it's hurt my mind on certain things like memory and communication and things like that, but it's gotten stronger in a lot of ways too. Because anything that's in nature, anything that we're resisting against, we're building our muscles, we're building our spiritual muscles, we're building our physical muscles. So Knack and Charles says gravity modulation from satellite, gravity modulation just from satellite. These special, yeah. And guys, also check out Charles's channel, Charles Hall. I need to go see some of your recent videos. I gotta admit, I haven't been watching a lot of targeted individuals videos lately. I've just been kind of like thinking about what I want to make a video about, and I've also been really thinking about doing some good little 15-minute, you know, edited stuff about directed energy weapons, putting some music with it, you know, putting like clips like that Donald Rumsfeld clip where they're talking about directed energy weapons, and then putting, you know, experts talking about it, and you know, making it a good production value so it can get more views and get more people to this topic. Yeah, yes. Wait, Nat, are y'all talking about niacin? What's NAC? What's NAC? NAC and NAT. I don't know what those are. Is that niacin? Okay. Cool, guys. Did y'all want me to look up anything, or did y'all have anything else y'all wanted to talk about? Maybe I'll, you know, I won't go ahead and close it out. What I might do, I might go ahead and just go like 5 videos back and read some of y'all's comments. Because I've been wanting to read, you know, some comments by you guys. And I had a lot of comments. I actually went through and read everything and actually responded to all the comments on that video with the vehicular stalking. Tom Green was on there. Tom Green was saying that, you know, I'm schizophrenic or whatever. I don't buy it. You know, I don't buy that somebody could watch the information that I'm putting out and see that I've made 900 videos and see all these other targeted individuals, you know, putting videos out. And say that we're mentally ill still. He's either dumb, he's either really stupid and really just can't understand information, or, you know, he's a community-placed agent who they do put on, you know, they put on websites and stuff. Am I sharing my screen or not? I'm not sharing my screen. I might not share my screen, but I'll read some comments before we go. Before I go, I'm gonna go to a video like 5. But hey, Charles, I think you showed up late, man. I think you showed up late, but I was telling everybody, please go and watch The Minds of Men. Go to YouTube, put in The Minds of Men. It's like this 4-hour documentary on mind control and the history of mind control. By Melissa and Aaron Dykes, and they've had targeting they've had some targeting situations and gaslighting and people breaking into their homes and stuff. So I think that they are actually being targeted. But my friend Ken said it was just a really good video. It's got 900,000 views on it. So go check that out. Go check out The Minds of Men, Charles, and anybody else who came and didn't hear me talking about that. Let's see, I'm going to go to... I'm going to go to that Wired magazine article video I did and read some of the comments. Okay. So this was the one where I was reading the Wired magazine article that I read it and I didn't know what article it was. I thought it was positive, but it turned out, to be the one where they said some good things. But then other things were, Okay, so JP says, hi, being attacked in the UK, be strong, be brave, they cannot last. I agree with him. That's JP. Richard Horvatich, DARPA has researched detecting biological signals without invasive, even remote technology. We don't require chips to hack or track us. Yeah, I totally agree on that. And Paul Abernathy, I pray for all TIs all over the world. Thank you, Paul. I definitely do. And we'll end this with a prayer. We'll go ahead and end it with a prayer. Debbie Voicey, a few words to keep in your mind that prisoners of war soldiers use. Oh, I like this one. I like this one because, like, I'm a survivor, and I feel like even though we are not soldiers, like we never wanted to be soldiers, we kind of are. We kind of have been drafted into a real war that's being fought differently from any other war that's ever been fought on the face of the earth. So I think about this in terms of like survive, prioritize your battles, defend as much as you can while using your physical and organic strength, that God gave us, and faith and prayer. Those are the first things. Because it gets you into a mental and spiritual state where amazing things can happen when you act with your actions. I know that this is it's shitty. Sorry about the language, but it's shitty. This is the shittiest thing that can happen to a person, but we've got to try and make, lemonade out of lemons. It's either give up, or we keep going and we keep putting out information and we keep hoping and we keep believing that people will come to our side, people who are not being directly targeted, and we keep thinking we can make change. I was watching this guy, and you guys should check this guy out because he's really smart. Ryan Dawson. Probably Charles has seen some of his stuff. Probably some of you guys have seen some of his stuff. But his name's Ryan Dawson, and he talks a lot about, corruption going on in countries. And he is part Native American, so he talks about when the settlers came and killed off the Indians and stuff. But he talks about current events. And he made a statement that made me really think. He said that it's not that things are more corrupt in our world now. It's just that more people are waking up and have access to that information. So it's like everything's been corrupt in this country since its inception, and things have been corrupt in other countries throughout history. It's just all they had was the newspapers or the mainstream news, and now we have alternative news and people looking into all these things that the mainstream news or like newspapers in the 1900s would have never put out. So it's like it was just more hidden back then. They were probably experimenting with people in the 1900s and the 1800s and things like that. Probably even more horrific experimentation, cutting people up and stuff. But people just didn't hear word one about it. So check out Ryan Dawson. I think he's a really smart guy. So Debbie Voicey says a few words to keep in your mind that prisoners of war soldiers use regarding the enemy: survive, evade, resist, escape. And I think that I like that. Survive, evade, resist, escape. So Jennifer Burns says they have ramped up my torture as well. This has got to stop. I totally agree, and I'm sorry about that, Jennifer. We're going to pray for you and all TIs who, are getting tortured horrendously. Stephanie J. Golden says, I have been going through this for a long time. The issues that keep coming up for me involve censorship and proving the harm that is being done to me. I believe you, but I do not know what to do about it. I watch a lot of comedy. I try to stay as calm as possible all the time. Yeah, it really helps me to watch things that are funny, and it gets my mind out of the darkness of, you know, my attackers doing the V2K. Dorothy says, so Vulcan, what's the good things for a TI that you mentioned to do besides incriminate themselves somehow? On NTI day, sitting outside for hours made my noise campaign 100% worse. Are we really going anywhere? So I guess that I was talking about, you know, on TI day or maybe a couple months after, trying to do the Washington protest again and make it bigger. So I guess she's saying some of that activism is incriminating us in making it worse for us. But for me, it's like, do activism, put out information. It's going to get worse anyway. Like if you do nothing, they're going to have you isolated, and your attackers are just going to try and do the remote neural manipulation and control the controlling things and the, you know, the torturous things. So, you know, Dorothy, you know, make some YouTube videos or go on Facebook and put out information, or I don't know. We have to do this stuff. It will sometimes it will make our torture worse for a little while, but then I find that evens out, because my attackers have tortured me harder for a long time because of my videos. But on the positive side, they can't kill me. Like, I'm sure that my attackers can't kill me. Because if they do, all these videos are going to be, you know, all these videos are going to be vindicated, and people are going to know that something weird happened. So it does give you a little bit of safety to put yourself out there. But I have those doubts sometimes too. I'm like, I know we're going somewhere. She says, are we really going anywhere? I know that we're moving forward, but it's happening too slow. It's happening too slow, and there's too much resistance from just normal people who really should be on our side. But all we can do is move forward, think of better ways to do things. And while you're waiting to think of better things, or while you're thinking of better things, do what you can. Like making YouTube videos and putting out, you know, articles for awareness, and, you know, having some live streams. It's maybe not the best thing that I can do, but it's a good thing until I can figure out something better, you know. So John Phillips says, hello, my name is John. I have a new name for my torturers. I call them Hydra from the comic books. Yeah, I get that. They hate it. What are they going to do? Torture me? Hail Hydra. Laugh my ass off. Thanks, John. Hey, thank you, John. Yeah, I've also done that to my attackers, because I read a lot of comic books. And that's why I wanted to show, the Captain America, the Winter Soldier, because they have Hydra that's infiltrated S.H.I.E.L.D., which is supposed to be kind of like the military-industrial complex, but good. And they've infiltrated S.H.I.E.L.D. just like what's happening in the real world, that these evil kind of cults have infiltrated the Masons are kind of an evil cult, but the Masonic and like some of these cabals are infiltrating all these organizations, or they actually created these organizations, and now it's all corrupt. But thanks, John. And then Charles, let me read what you put on this video. They caused the mental illness. Then neurologists, because of this, hid it through mental illness. So they created psychology to hide it and give a bunch of people that could not be neurologists the chance to study the pain. Yeah, I kind of agree. It's not really mental illness, it's mental injury, you know, like Brian too says, and I really like that saying. It's mental injury that would appear like mental illness to people who don't know that we're being remotely manipulated, remote neural manipulation, remote neural monitoring, and then external torture too, and then remote neural manipulation pain through our nervous system and things like that. And then the people that are getting let's read Neil's thing. It's craft done through false spiritual attachment. You won't know unless you live with them. Then he have to discern. If you have nonverbal hand signals, drink Venom energy drink, and you will be led to find more of it. Not a recommendation. It's just what happens when I drink it, and it's got bad numbers on the can. A lot of bad numbers, but you'll find it. BW is also West Virginia. Hint. Don't understand that, Neil, but on one of my videos, Neil said we bind all attacks, and then later down in the comment, he put clean your house. And I really do need to clean my house, so I appreciate that advice, Neil. I'm a dork. I'm such a doofus. All right, guys. I think that's it for tonight. I just wanted to make a live stream. Thank you all for coming. Thank you guys for always coming and supporting me when I make these videos. It makes me feel a lot better. Autumn and Nobody and Future Knowledge and Charles. It really helps me. I appreciate it, guys. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it up. Let's wrap it up with a prayer, guys. And then I'm gonna see y'all in the next one. I still got a lot of stuff up on deck that I want to go through, and I really want to get some. I'm gonna really start researching everything about what I'm reading. Sometimes I'll just pull up an article and I'm like, okay, I'll make a video about this. And as we saw tonight, like it said, neuroscience on the battlefield, but they were going through more chemical than the neurotechnology. So little things like that I need to get better at and know exactly what I'm putting out so I don't. It wasn't a waste. It was a good article, but I'm going to be trying a little bit harder to really focus and know what I'm putting out, because I've done that twice. I mean, they're good articles. The Wired magazine article was good and this one was good, but I sometimes catch myself putting stuff out and I'm like, this wasn't what I thought it was going to be. But let's go ahead and pray in the name of the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit. In the name of Jesus Christ, dear Lord, please give strength to all these TIs that came to my live stream tonight, and all TIs, but especially these guys. I care about them so much. Just give us miracles. Give us miracles and put courage and strength into the heart of everybody who's not involved in this program, so that it will speak out and know what's important in our society to fix. Please, God, just give us strength, give us wisdom, give us the peace that surpasses all understanding as we go through this. Give these guys and gals out there who are being tortured, and myself, give us more ways to defend. Please put it in our paths. Please put things that help us and give us strength and give us relief. Please put these things in our path. Thank you. Thank you for the miracles that you put into our lives, previous to today. And we look forward to those things that we asked for coming within your time, Please, but make it quick. But please make it quick, Lord. Thank you for everything. Thank you for all of our friends and our family and each other. And just send us miracles, God. All right, in the name of the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit, in the name of Jesus Christ. I love you guys. Just stay strong. Email me, like if you want to talk. Like all you guys who regularly come to my chat, if you want to email me, I'll send you my phone number if you want to talk or you want to hear more in depth of what I'm doing for defense. But I love you guys. Thanks for coming. And thank you everybody who's watching this later. Thank you for watching. And let's keep going. Let's keep fighting. All right, guys. I'll see you on the next one.